It took me 28 hours. 28 hours to beat Astro Bot and to get the platinum. You know the game everybody's saying is short. 28 hours. And guys, look, this game, I can't wait to talk about it. This game, it was a ride. Now look, for anybody out there that's a little bit skeptical about the praise that Astro Bot is receiving, because you're looking at it saying, look, it's a platformer, it's $60. Like, that's too much money for a platformer. Astro Bot was a tech demo. I'm not sure. Let me tell you something. Listen to me. Come in closer. Everything you heard, it's warranted. All the praise, all the love. Astro Bot delivers. But it is more than just a platformer. Look, Astro Bot clearly is a celebration for PlayStation. But I'm going to say this. Funny enough, if you play enough Astro Bot, you'll realize that it's also a celebration of Nintendo. If you play any recent Mario game or anything like that, it uses a lot of designs and mechanics from Nintendo's games that they've used throughout the years, and it's to no surprise. Nintendo makes great platformers. The team probably looked at Nintendo as inspiration, and I can even show you, I'm gonna have up on the screen some things that clearly came from Nintendo games, and I can't blame them. If you're going to be inspired by anybody, get inspired by the greats, and that's why this game ultimately became a great game. They looked at who did it the best, and they mimicked it. I'm not gonna say copy, because Astro Bot is definitely its own thing, but it's no denying that this game is both a celebration of Nintendo and PlayStation. And if you know the history, the funny thing is there is no PlayStation without Nintendo. So in a lot of ways, I feel this came full circle. How Astro Bot stands on its own as a unique experience is actually found in its overall theme and the story. Astro Bot and his crew are traveling in space in their PlayStation 5 ship when a green, Xbox looking green alien steals parts from the system, and the system crash lands on a planet, and Astro Bot is left alone with him and the Duel Sense, and they have to travel around space to save the other bots and save the other system components from the PlayStation 5. And the Duel Sense, this is the funny part, both from the plot and from the gameplay mechanic, I will say is equally a star alongside Astro Bot. It is essentially the second main character to the game. Throughout the entire game, I think almost every single controller feature that the Duel Sense provides is used. I can't tell you how many times I've just stayed in levels messing with different things in the environments, like gems and even like rubble and stuff, because you can feel, it's like you can touch and feel these things in the controller with how detailed the haptic feedback is. And I would just sit there and just mess with this stuff. I wouldn't even be platforming or, enjoying the level. I would just have fun. Like, I would go through a stage, die, and literally break the things around me again, because it just feels that good. I'm telling you, the Duel Sense is equally a character along with Astro Bot. Now, some of you out there are saying this just seems like a pointless gimmick, but I'm telling you, this experience is important. It's experience to the whole entire core of Astro Bot. You are not going to get anything like this in any other game. If you turn these features off, which you should not do, but you can if you want, I would argue you didn't play Astro Bot. You didn't play the game. You have to play with these features on. Please do not turn them off. Only turn them off if they really are bothering you, but I promise you, Astro Bot without the Duel Sense, it's not Astro Bot anymore. Like I already said, I've gotten more time out of the game just experimenting with the cool features that the Duel Sense has provided for this entire game. And it is something you cannot measure. It's so sad, because although I'm telling you about this in a review, obviously, you really won't know what I'm talking. You have to play the game. You have to play the game. Now, the beautiful thing is you can get some of this stuff if you play the Astro Bot Playroom demo that comes with every PS5. But this game ups the ante. Now, just to go back to people that may still be saying like these are gimmicks and I don't know about all that, like I don't really want to mess with that stuff. Look, I know over the years, Sony, Nintendo, Xbox, all of these major companies have introduced, these strange gimmicks, motion controls, haptic feedback, and a lot of times it just boils down to waggle here, little slight difference in vibration there. But again, Astro Bot proves that the Duel Sense, there's plenty of games on the PS5 that I feel shows exactly why the Duel Sense was made. It is not just a gimmick. It is a core feature of the PlayStation 5. This game is a celebration of PlayStation and the PlayStation 5 itself and its controller. And when I look, I know I'm beating a dead horse, but I have to put this in the review this much because, like I said, I cannot express it through gameplay footage. You have to feel it. So the best way I can tell you is this. If you've ever wanted to feel your game, to feel like you're there, to feel like the things you're interacting with, you can touch, feel, you can't smell it, not yet, but this is it. But look, outside of the haptics, outside of the motion, outside of the great tactile feedback that you're getting for the DualSense, what are you going to do in Astro Bot? Well, it's a platformer, so you're going to be running and jumping and collecting many different things throughout the levels. You need a certain amount of bots per world to challenge the final boss, so you're going to already be collecting them. But I'm just telling you, in general, it's fun to find these guys. It's fun to find the puzzle pieces, and you can look up guides. You don't even have to, because this game provides, like this robot, if you replay a level, it'll tell you where most of the secrets are. But I'm really encouraging you guys not to use it, because not only is it way better to find these things on your own, it also provides an extra level of challenge, because some stages I feel were just designed to be fun gimmicks or fun experiences, not a whole lot of platforming challenges, not anything that's really going to test your skills. But when I had to go look for the bots on my own or the puzzle pieces, then I was challenged to, you know, study my environment. And that in itself is fun, because you'll be surprised how they hide things away from you. Now, I'm sure a lot of PlayStation fans aren't really platform players, as PlayStation really hasn't made too many platformers in the past 2 generations. So how is the difficulty? Because I'm gonna be honest with you guys, I put a guide out for like the hardest level in the game, I thought, for myself, which you guys should check out if you need help. But I didn't think this game, as a lifelong gamer, and definitely as someone who's been playing platformers since I was a kid, this game's difficulty for me, I would say, was a moderate challenge. So for PlayStation fans, especially newer ones who really don't play platformers like that, I'm seeing you guys struggle. So I think this game would be a harder game for you all, but I still think it's a fair challenge. So anyone that's concerned, because that can be, you know, a tricky part with selling platformers, is that a lot of times they're short and they're easy for people. So for someone like myself that's been playing them for years, I would say I had a good challenge throughout the whole game. There were times I definitely died a lot. Astro Bot dies in one hit, which I know could probably be frustrating for a lot of new players to platformers and things like that. But I'm be honest with you, if this game had extra lives and stuff like that, I don't think it would add anything to it. The challenge overall is good for veterans, and if you're a new player to platformers, then you're going to have an even more difficult challenge. So if you like things like that, if you like harder games, this isn't Dark Souls, so don't start saying that. This is Astro Bot Souls. This is not that. But it is definitely a fun challenge, so you're going to get your money's worth. You're not going to feel like this was a quote-unquote kids game or baby game. You will struggle even if you have been playing platformers for the majority of your life. Now I want to talk about some of these power-ups, because a lot of these are clearly inspired by Nintendo's power-ups and even some of their games like ARMS. There's a Metroid reference. These things are pretty cool, and the way they're used throughout each level and challenge is very creative. And the really cool thing is that a lot of the times they keep these levels short with these power-ups. So it's almost like it's a genius way to make you want more of them. And you'll sit there and say, man, this was a really cool design. I wish this stage was longer. Only for them later on to give you that power up again in a whole different stage with a whole different way to use it. And you'll get what you wanted. You wanted more of it, but now it's in a different stage with even a higher skill check. So now you're getting more of a challenge. It's like the beginning areas that give you a certain power up. You know, it was just to teach you how to use it. Now they're trying to see how well you know these moves. And they even do this with moves that aren't even power-ups, just your basic skills that Astro Bot has, because there are some challenges in the later game where like they like fighting arenas, like quick little fighting arenas, and the floor is being destroyed beneath you. And I'm sitting here like, how am I supposed to get past this? And it's sometimes the most simplest mechanic that it's not that you haven't been using it. You use it throughout the whole game, but you just didn't think to use it this way, and how the developers kind of flip the mechanic on its head, where this very simple decision to use it just slightly different than the player thinks to will leave you, kind of confused. But once you figure out what you had to do, you'll sit there with like, the aha face, the I can't believe they, they kind of, it's almost like they tricked you with something that seems complicated, but it's really not. And it's a joy to discover these things and to figure out what the developers had planned for you to challenge you throughout the entire game with the power-ups and just Astro Bot's default moveset. Now, what is a video game without being rewarded? And the player is definitely going to get a lot of rewards through each level. Of course, you're going to collect all the Astro Bot characters. A lot of these guys resemble PlayStation mascot characters and even third-party characters. You can unlock cool animations for each of them. It costs money to get these animations, but you'll be collecting coins throughout the entire game anyway. And this part of the game is where you're going to definitely see the celebration of Sony and their third-party teams. And this is really a joy for anyone that's just a PlayStation gamer, or even just someone who loves third-party games, because you'll definitely, if you've been gaming for a while, you're going to find somebody you recognize. And I was surprised to see certain characters on here that I was not thinking to see. Like, I forget his name, but the main character, one of the main characters from Dark Cloud 2 was represented. I was very shocked to even see him here. Yeah, I thought Sony forgot Dark Cloud existed. So it was pretty cool to see some of these guys represented from the past. And I'm not going to spoil it, but I laughed so hard when I saw who, like, the final, depending upon how you play the game, he will be the final bot you find. And I just laughed because I thought it was so silly for them to put this guy in the game. But it was a joy to find all the bots, to see all the cool collectibles you get. You can even find customization options for Astro Bot, make him dress up like some of the Sony characters. You can even get Duel Sense colors. I wish some of these colors were real Duel Sense options to buy in real life, but most of them are fake. And you also get this interesting area where it's like, this is where you're gonna lock the camera in the game, because throughout the game you will find different spots in the world where it seems like Astro Bot can take a picture, but until you unlock this particular world, you cannot take pictures in the game yet, unless you're using the PlayStation 5's default screen capture feature. But in this little zoo-like environment, you're able to interact with tons of different animals throughout the entire levels. And the thing is when you're playing the levels, you can interact with the animals. So it's almost like they came up with the idea, well, what if the player just wanted in a big environment where they could just do this whenever they felt like it, to get cool screenshots or just to see the cool, fun animations that they invented for the game. And I thought that was really cool. Now, in the beginning, I spoke about getting the platinum trophy. I want to be clear. I am not a platinum trophy hunter per se. There are sometimes I get the urge, but in general, I don't go for platinum trophies unless I really like a game. And Astro Bot, not only, this is the great thing, not only is there obviously no online trophies, so you don't have to worry about that. There are no difficult trophies, in my opinion. All the trophies are easy to get, and most of them you will get. If you really like Astro Bot, you'll be trying to get the trophies by default anyway, because you're going to want to collect everything, see everything, and get the most out of the game. You don't have to play the game twice to get the trophy, so that's good too. And I encourage people, whether you're a trophy hunter or not, I think this game may inspire people to start getting trophies, because this trophy list, for anyone who cares, this should be studied. More developers should say, listen, let's stop making the player do tedious tasks to get trophies in games. Every trophy in this game, except for a few, and these few were not difficult to do, were things you're going to do to beat the game anyway. The only trophies that don't involve stuff like that are like simple things like take a screenshot of this particular PlayStation character, or climb on top of the PS5 inside the world. These are things you're probably going to do anyway if you're enjoying the game and you just want to interact with the world. Taking pictures of particular PlayStation characters, you may not think to do, but I thought those trophies were fun only because the description of them it's like cryptic. So if you don't know Sony's history or third-party games history, you won't understand what they're telling you to do. Like one of the trophies was you had to take a picture of both two traveling adventurers and Sony's history. So if you can guess who in Sony's history were popular traveling adventurers, then you can figure out how to get this trophy. And I thought stuff like that was cool because it kind of tests your gaming knowledge. It's not just some tedious, boring task like, they didn't do something stupid like go jump on this platform 300 freaking times or something stupid like that. They kept everything simple, and it was a fun joy to finally go for a platinum trophy that wasn't annoying in a grind. And I wish developers would follow this going forward. Now, to reiterate a point, I want to say this. For anyone concerned, again, about the $60 price tag being too much for this game because it's a platformer, listen, if I got 28 hours out this game, 28 hours, I didn't die that much. 28 hours of pure fun, enjoyment, just taking it all in. It took me maybe 4 days to beat the game of me playing nothing but Astro Bot. I didn't play any other games in between. And guess what? Even though I got the platinum, there's still a few secrets I haven't found. There's still other things to do. And this game is so great. It's so great. I know this is a hard thing for people to understand today because a lot of new gamers do not do this. But if you're an old school gamer like me, or even if you are a newer gamer and you do this, you'll understand. This game's replayability is high. So I got 28 hours on my first playthrough, and that's getting the platinum trophy. And I think this game is so great that I think any other time I play the game, I more than likely are going to be doing just as much content as I did the first playthrough. There's no level I say in this game that's worth skipping. There's no level in this game that I'll say that's not worth playing again. There's nothing in this game that was a low point at all. So if I ever play this game again, and then it's not that long of a game, so to replay it is easy and simple. It's easy, something you can always, if you're busy playing one particular game, you can always have Astro Bot on the side as something you're playing through again, just to enjoy the experience another time. So for anyone that wants to be able to replay a game, not that arbitrary crap that a lot of developers are doing where they're just dumping content that's meaningless and pointless and not fun in a game, which a lot of developers are doing nowadays. They're just giving you a bunch of filler. And once you get past the idea that there's a lot of content, because you're going to quickly realize in most games that do that, that content isn't even fun. So it's basically useless. Astro Bot isn't that. It's nothing but the main dish. And anything that seems like side content is just as good as the main course. You're going to want to replay Astro Bot. So don't look at it as I'm paying $60 for a game that I'm going to play once and never play again. You're going to play Astro Bot again. This is not a game you're going to say, I'm never touching this again. I beat it. I'm done. This is a game you're going to play on a rainy day. This is going to be a game you play where you just want to play something that feels good, that's a joy to play. It's still going to provide a challenge for you. Again, driving home the point. Astro Bot is worth every freaking cent. I rarely pre-order games. I pre-order Astro Bot. No regrets, full price, worth every dollar. And no, as you can see from my subscriber count, I am not at all sponsored. Guys, Astro Bot. It's not only my potential game of the year. Zelda's coming out, so gotta wait and see. But it's not only my potential game of the year, but it's one of those games that you're lucky to get once a generation. A game that in years to come, people will declare it as one of the greatest games ever made. Astro Bot is many things. It's a platformer. It's a living advertisement for PlayStation. It's nostalgia bait. It's even a love letter to Nintendo. But don't forget the most important thing of all. Astro Bot is perfect.